Welcome to the video on how to hand sew the shields. Now to get started, you're going to make 3 shields, so you'll need 3 waterproof layers, 6 pockets, and 3 of the covers that go on the top and bottom. So to start out, you're going to need to layer them. You take this piece here, make sure it is wrong side up. You put the waterproof layer inside. This one I cut big. It's not supposed to be that big, but I cut it a little big so I'd have extra. You put your second piece here. And then you add the pockets. So you fold your pocket in half. And stick it right there. I cut the pockets a little big too. They don't have to be that big. Now you want to make sure all of the sides align and cut any fabric that's not in line. So you have to cut everything extra so that all the edges line up. As you're aligning the edges, you'll want to put something in to hold it in place. I like to use binder clips. You don't want to use pins. Oh, thank you. You don't want to use pins because you don't want to put holes in your waterproof layer. So you can use like clips for chip bags. You can use paper clips. I like binder clips. I think they're the best. Clothespins, I've used clothespins before. Whatever works. You can see that I've still got some trimming to do. It's not the edges aren't perfectly aligned, so I'll keep doing that. Once you have all of the edges aligned and you've got some clips to hold them in place, you're going to start hand sewing. Now, if you've never done hand sewing before, don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. All you need are scissors, a needle, and some thread. First, you're going to take your thread and cut about, I want to say about 2 feet of thread, 2 to 3 feet. And then you're going to thread your needle. Now I find that it's kind of hard to put the thread in unless you lick it first, which is a little gross, but it makes it much easier to put it through the eye of the needle. Okay, once you've got it through, then you're going to tie a little knot at the very end. We'll put the 2 ends together and then tie a knot. There. That way you can pull on your needle without accidentally pulling the thread through and having to rethread it a bunch of times, which I've done. It's not fun. What you're going to do to start is pick any point, stick your needle through it. Make sure it's, I want to say, 1/4 of an inch or about 1/2 centimeter away from the edge. And pull your thread through. The knot should stop it from going all the way through. And then do that again about 3 times. Now that creates an anchor. Now to do the blanket stitch, what you're going to do is put your needles into the layers fairly close to where you were. You don't want to make your stitches too wide. And you're going to make sure that this loop of thread is behind the tip of the needle. Okay. And then you do that again. You put your needle in fairly close to where it was. Make sure that this loop is behind the tip of the needle, and then you pull it through. And you keep going just like that, all the way around. Now, as you sew, make sure you're getting all of the layers. You don't want any layers to be sticking out. And once you've gotten a nice row here, you're going to cut the tail off if it gets in the way. I think it gets in the way, so I like to cut that off. The knot should hold it there, and your anchor that you made. Now you want your stitches to be fairly close together, like the teeth of a fine comb. You don't want big, huge stitches. Also, when you pull your stitches, when you pull the thread through, you don't want it too tight so that it puckers. You don't want the fabric to be puckering. But you also don't want any loose strands up here. You want it to be flat against the fabric, but not too tight. Now, if you've never done hand sewing before, I recommend you get a scrap of fabric and you practice your stitches before you get started on your liners. Before you get started on your shields. You know, that way you'll have nice even stitches and you won't have messed up stitches and that'll come apart, and you'll be better prepared to start on it. When you come to a binder clip that's in your way, just simply take it out and put it to the side and keep going. The other clips should hold everything in place. Now when you run out of thread, it's a little too short to work with, what you're going to do is make another anchor. I like to go from the back because it makes the stitches a little bit more even. So I stick the needle in through the back and pull it through about 3 or 4 times. And then if you want extra security, what you can do is stick the thread through the anchor you just made a few times as well, to make sure that those stitches aren't going anywhere. And then you trim it, and you take your thread out of the needle, and you get some more thread. Lick the end, stick it through the needle, bring the 2 edges of the thread together, the 2 ends, tie a knot, there we go, and you make another anchor. Once you're done with your anchor, don't forget, you're going to put your needle to the side of the anchor, not too far, and keep this loop in the back of your needle, or behind your needle as you pull it through. That'll create the blanket stitch. You don't have to hold the thread like I do. I do a lot of knitting and crocheting, and so that's how I'm used to holding my yarn. And then you just keep going all the way around the edge. Now one thing to remember is you don't want to wait until your thread is really short to make the anchor to finish off that thread, because then you won't be able to make the anchor and you'll run the risk of it coming out. So you want to wait till it's about 3 or 4 inches, and then you'll make your anchor. This is what it looks like when you've gone all the way around your shield with the blanket stitch.
Blanket stitch!
Once you've got your shield all sewn, you'll need to make a way for it to secure around your underwear. Now, my favorite is to use snaps. This one has snaps, and they're my favorite because they're really simple and they stay really well. And if you get I think most of them aren't gonna melt in the dryer. I mean, the ones I have are fairly cheap and they haven't melted in the dryer. So they're a good option. Another option is Velcro. I put Velcro on the ends of this one. And it's fine, it's a little loud. Same with the snaps. The snaps are a little bit loud if you're in a public restroom. And in the wash, the Velcro catches onto other clothes. And another option is a button. Now if you're gonna do a button, you're gonna need to cut a slit in one side right here and then do a blanket stitch around the edge. And then you sew your button on. And then you secure it around your underwear. Just like this. So any way you choose will be fine. With the button, that also isn't going to catch on anything in the wash, and it's pretty quiet in a public restroom. So those are the advantages with that. It's not as fast as the snaps or the Velcro though. But, you know, I imagine you get much faster the more you used it. So those are how to make the shields. And next I'm going to show you how to make the liners. Thank you for watching.